that these Suns look like contenders. I thought it was a total circus. I thought this thing was ready for not necessarily a meltdown, but definitely a significant step back. I ask you, should the Suns be considered the team to beat in the West?
So I think the answer is yes right now, in part because of the fact that the two teams that I think we thought were all at the top of the West, and the Clippers and the Warriors, have been pretty wildly and impressive through the first couple weeks of the season. By contrast to the Suns, and you look at all the models, like if we didn't know anything about how they lost game 7 to the Dallas Mavericks, you'd be saying, hey, this team was in the finals 2 years ago. They had the best record in the league last season. They look like the best team in the West so far this season. Of course, they're the favorites. So that's the argument in favor of them. Now, the argument against, real quick, is that Utah did start 7-1 a season ago.
Right.
So the challenge for a team coming off a loss like the Suns had, and like the Jazz had to the Clippers the year before, it isn't what happens when everything's going right. It's what happens when everything starts to go wrong, as you know it inevitably will over the course of the NBA season. And then do you start pointing fingers and blaming each other?
Yeah, and of course, the way that they opened the season, where everything did go wrong for them in the first half. And it's like, hey, all those demons that have been kind of haunting you all summer long, here they are. Here's Luka Doncic absolutely dominating you for the first 2 quarters of your season. Here's the Mavericks building this 22-point lead early in the third quarter. And obviously they came back and rallied and won that game. They've been impressive since, their only loss being in overtime to Portland. And, I had concerns about the Suns, about just the black cloud lingering, the whole DeAndre Ayton situation, not talking to Monty Williams all summer long. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad. I knew, obviously the contract was, those negotiations were tense. It was pretty clear that he wanted to move on. He didn't get the chance. But I don't think we've seen any signs of that early on in the season. Again, that's a TBD. And then just the fact that Jay Crowder doesn't show up to camp, call it mutual, whatever you want. Boy, that's a pretty big hit to their depth that actually hasn't haunted them. Who would have imagined that Jock Landale would be one of the most significant offseason acquisitions?
Yeah, I mean, the whole talk was, okay, it's going to be Bismack Biyombo. They really loved his play last season. It's going to be Dario Saric playing center like he did 2 years ago before the ACL injury. And those guys have gotten on the court lately because DeAndre Ayton has missed time, but Biyombo in particular. But it's Landale who's anchoring that rotation. And it's 2 guys making the minimum have come up huge. I mean, in that Dallas game, it was Damian Lee. And early in the season when Landry Shamet was out, he's still getting minutes. And then Landale, the 2 of them have Jock Landale is definitely the best NBA player that I have ever shared a row in a Southwest flight with. That's his claim to fame.
I'm sure that's his claim to fame.